Hey there, and welcome to this member spotlight. Now, getting to a six-figure business is something that so many women strive for in their business. We've had a flurry of members inside the Her Business Network hitting that goal just as the last financial year ended. And so it's my great pleasure last week, this week, and coming up to feature some of those women and tell you their stories and how they've grown their businesses to that wonderful, wonderful marker where now they can start to pay themselves, where now reliable revenue is coming in, where now they can see a different potential for their business. So if you're looking to grow a 6 or 7 figure business, then you definitely want to tune in. I'm going to introduce you in a moment to Alex Hanlon of Engine Number 2. She was doing her end of year accounts and she looked at the final number and she was kind of blown away, especially since she started her business less than a year ago. So besides being thrilled to hit that milestone, she also put in place some new systems to be more up to date with her finances as she's on this wonderful trajectory. It takes a lot to keep a business running. And especially when we're new in business, we've moved from, as in Alex's case, as you'll hear, from a corporate role where we have a lot of resources to kind of being the main person and maybe getting a little help, how we think about our business, what we do in our business, how we approach our marketing, the challenges we face, they're all a little bit different. So Alex has been thinking differently about her marketing. She's feeling good about it. She's moving away from good months and bad months to more predictable income. She's also developed some time and health disciplines so that the business doesn't kind of run away with her life, but that she can feel a little more in control. So I'm going to bring her on. She's going to tell us more about her business. We're going to have a great conversation. And if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them for us now. Hey, Alex, welcome.
Hi, Susie. How are you going?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to have you here. You heard me kind of going on about you a little bit while we were waiting to come on. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and who your ideal client is?
Thanks. Well, I'm Alex, and my company Engine Number 2 was set up to help time-poor healthcare service providers tame their technology and get back time with their patients. And I do that by through consultancy services, a chief technology officer on demand service. And soon, I hope to be launching a technology fundamentals online course. It's one of my challenges, that bit, though, I have to admit, Susie, because I spend so much time with my clients one-to-one that it's hard to get back to that one-to-many offering.
Good. Well, let's make sure we talk about that because I'm sure there's other people who are watching who are having that similar experience. I'm spending so much time taking care of clients that this other more leveraged opportunity is getting sidelined again and again. So let's make sure we talk about that before we go today. I mentioned earlier that you are still in your first year of business. You started the business with your husband. You rose to the CEO role. And now you mentioned to me earlier you have a programmer working with you. But you recently hit and passed by at least 33%, that 100-figure mark. So how did that feel right in your first year?
Well, it was a combination of feelings, actually, because it came out when I was doing my end of year figures, and I looked at the figure and I thought, that can't be right. So I did the figures again and went, holy moly. Actually, I may have said something else. But I was really surprised, and I felt a bunch of things. So I felt really excited, and I also felt kind of dumb because it made me realize that my monthly reporting was probably not good. Like I should have been able to see that coming potentially, and I had completely missed the mark on that. So that was one of the things that I made a note to do to try to improve my monthly reporting, and I have changed one of the disciplines that I have in my diary to make sure that I'm actually locking away time just to look at figures so that I stay on top of them.
So important. And, you're on this sort of trajectory, which is fantastic, but we also want to know if things are going a little bit backward. And so that monthly commitment to looking at our numbers is a discipline that we've had in our business for a long time. And even if you're not particularly good with numbers, and I don't know about you, Alex, but I was never really good with the numbers, having that reporting allows us to have that bird's eye view. It's working, it's not working, too much money being spent here, not enough profit in that item. And you mentioned to us already that you're spending so much time with your one-on-one clients that some of these other things are being left behind. So when the opportunity arises, I would love to see that you get someone to just a couple of hours a month, take care of your bookkeeping and give you the vital reports that you need, so that you're not ending up in a financial platform spending hours and hours where you could be doing higher level work, like developing the course that you want to develop, because you're fiddling around with the numbers. So tell me, what has had to change about your thinking as you now start to see the possibilities of the revenue, and you're, a few months into having your own business now? What has had to change about your thinking as you think about your growth trajectory?
I've had to relearn everything that I've ever known, I think, about resources. So in my previous life as a senior exec, I had a team of nearly 400 people. And so whenever I needed to get goals achieved, I was able to call on some fantastic resources. So that's been my life for a long time. And I think that's very habit forming. So one of the things I've had to do for myself in business is just to get a whole lot more realistic about goals. And I have to shout out to my golden goalies here, because they have been...
That's Alex's goals group. Just so everyone is watching know, our goals groups are our accountability groups. And when you join the Her Business Network, you get to be in a goals group. And your goals group is called what? The Golden Goalies?
The Golden Goalies. And they've just been really awesome at I'd say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do, and I'd put all these goals together, and they'd go, really, Alex, really? Do you think you're really going to do that? There's just you. And that has been super helpful, for me. So that has been a really big piece. I have goals around my personal health now that I've never had to have before, because when you are your business, of course, if something goes haywire with me, I can see it in the figures that I'm now looking at. So that has been a really big piece. I think probably before I was as an exec, I was probably in a unhelpful boom and bust cycle with my own health. But certainly I've had to develop those disciplines also around marketing that have never, those are all brand new skills. And it's one of the reasons that I wanted to be involved in this network, to be able to get access to yourself and the experts that you bring with you, to get all those shortcuts to success and get me thinking about those things in a way that I've never had to deal with. Well, not for a very, very long time anyway.
And you bring up such a good point, because when we're in a role in a corporation, we probably we might have a big responsibility, but a narrow focus. Whereas a business owner, we're having to sort of be across all areas of the business. And the two things you mentioned, marketing and your own well-being, are two areas that we focus on regularly, as you know, Alex, inside the Her Business Network, as part of the 8 growth zones that we talk about. These are 8 areas of business that any successful business has, whether you're a 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure. And we need to be strong in all of those areas if we're going to have a well-rounded, viable, profitable, successful business. And so turning your attention to marketing, again, it's like, how do you do that when you're spending a lot of time working one-on-one? How do you find that time? And part of that is having that mind shift, is thinking differently, thinking, okay, I'm working one-on-one and I love that. And I love those clients who are paying me good money. And if I want to transition to this other type of business, how might I do that? What might I need to say no for? Because you probably can't work, I don't know about you, but there's only so many hours we can work before we're burning out. And especially if you've got goals around your well-being. So something fundamentally has to shift in either raising prices and working with fewer clients, or deliberately carving out chunks of time where you say, okay, this day, no client work. This day is about developing my one-to-many offer, putting together the offer, getting our support to make sure it's got all the elements of an offer, deciding who the ideal client is, really drilling into what's included and the bonuses and how am I going to put it out there, and where is the ready-made market, or do I need to create a market for it? And again, we're there to support you every single day inside the Her Business Network as you make that transition. And then you've got a wise goals group, it sounds like, who's also got your back, right? Because they're not trying to suppress your dreams. They're just trying to make sure that you don't keel over in the process of creating the business that you want. I
Yeah,
so appreciate you, Alex, and I appreciate you being so honest. You mentioned, and I want to sit on this a little bit. You mentioned to me that there just isn't enough time to do anything. If you can appreciate that comment, go ahead and leave us a comment below. There's not enough time to do everything. Colleen is saying, set goals and never give up on your dreams. Absolutely, Colleen. So there's never enough time to do anything. And so the amount of work for me, and I've been doing this for 27 years, it doesn't get any less unless we deliberately divide our day into the things that really matter, and we start to prioritize, and we start to say no to things that aren't aligned with our 12-month vision or aren't aligned with the area of business that we're wanting to grow. Learning to say no to that, it can be hard. And that's where having that accountability is so important. If I was to serve you and support you in any way possible today, what might that be?
I think you're already doing it, Susie. I think that one of the, I mean, and this network does it. So, you know, I've got to acknowledge the fantastic work that you and your team do, and also shout out to the wider network, because being able to come back to this remarkable brains trust, and with questions or the how do you do this, or how, you know, what's people's experience of that being, and being able to dip into that when you need it. That's just extraordinarily valuable. And then we get all these other things as well. I was reminding myself at how valuable your Content Sells podcast is. On the weekend, I was doing a long drive back from my sister's house and listened to a few episodes of that.
Oh, great. Yeah.
You know, I get home and I go, I've got to do these 4 things with my marketing plan quick.
Well, we try and provide resources, you know, including our podcast and our webinars and all the things inside of our membership. Well, thank you. I'm glad that is being really useful. I want to have you tell us a little bit about the products and services that you offer. Now, you mentioned Chief Technology Officer on Demand. Oh my goodness, how lucky is the health sector for that? Because I know so many businesses who would love an on-tech tech officer. So tell us a little bit about the services that you offer. I'm going to throw up your website here on the screen. If you are watching this later or listening to this later, then look out for the details below. But it's engine NO2, as in engine number 2.com. So it's, tell me about the history of the name. Like, where'd that come from?
It was actually there's an engine number 1, which happens to be a hedge fund in the United States. So that's thinking about engines. We liked the idea of engine number 2 because every business that we serve is kind of like engine number 1, and engine number 2 is your backup. So we wanted.
I love that.
Yeah, we wanted to provide, particularly healthcare. So the piece about healthcare came about as a result of COVID. Actually, we like many of you would have seen those incredible photographs of nurses and doctors who'd been in the PPE with the bruised faces.
Yes, the cut marks like here, and
and feeling like, okay, these people really need our help. We've got a bunch of skills that can be helpful in that sector. And we previously worked in other sectors like telecommunications, property, and construction, tertiary education. So it was a newish sector for us, but we realised that we had a bunch of skills that would be helpful in that space, and felt like if COVID has taught us anything, we've got to look after each other. So we're going to focus on dealing with the particular challenges of healthcare. And about the same time, we were relocating from New Zealand back to Australia. Note to self, don't relocate in the middle of a global pandemic, not one of my better decisions. And it came back to Australia, and an old associate of mine said, I could really use someone who knows technology like you do to fix a problem that I have. And it just happened to be that their business was a hospital in the home business. So that is kind of the way those things all collided to create the engine number 2 offering. So
Well,
now we offer
what's
it.
important about that, could I call something out, is that you could be a CTO, a Chief Technology Officer for anyone, but that's not going to give you the power that being for a specific audience. And I know you have a very deliberate ideal client. And just for everybody listening, is whatever you do, whatever your mastery is, if you can pick an ideal client and really call them out and be the go-to person for them, rather than feeling like you're leaving money on the table, what you're doing is actually digging into an endless well, because it just fine-tunes your attention. You know where to advertise, you know where to market, you know the language to use, you know the ideal clients to interview to get a better understanding of their pain points. And so I know it sort of happened by chance, but I think it's divine intervention in that you got clear on who you're for.
Yes, it certainly felt there was a serendipity to it that kind of felt like, oh, this is the obvious thing that we need to go and do, and it's for us as individuals, it's a good motivator too, because it's a really good sector to be able to make a contribution to at a time when it's under a lot of strain. My partner and I are people who believe in making a contribution back to your community in a lot of different ways. So this fitted really nicely with our values. So it just felt like a really good fit. So it was quite easy to get going with finding a way that help folks who are running, medical professional, clinically trained people who are really, really bright people, but just may not have been watching technology, or it's not something that kind of makes a whole lot of sense to them. We sometimes deal with folks who are very well established medicos, but feel a little bit silly about asking about something to do with technology. So part of what we do is provide a Chief Technology Officer on Demand service, which is basically booking a number of hours to suit your business, and allows you to pick up the phone and say, okay, these things are driving me nuts. What do I need to do? Or help me to understand the cloud, because I think I need to be there, and these things are happening with, the government services, and I feel like I need to connect, but I don't know how to get started. Or I need to deliver a project and I need someone who really knows their stuff to come along and then go again at the end, because I can't afford someone to stay for a long period of time. So that's how we help people to get started with thinking about how to use their technology better. And as they mature their understanding, we have other offerings after that.
So you have an entry point. And again, this is all gold. If you're listening to this, there is so much value in what Alex is saying. So she knows her ideal client, and so she knows where to find them. She has an entry-level product that she's leading with. And then from there, once they're in there, then she has other products and services at different price points that she can move them to. The other thing that's becoming apparent as we're talking, Alex, is strategic alliances and people you can collaborate with. Because you're clear on your ideal client and you're clear on your market, I can already think of 2 people inside the Her Business Network who are not competitors, but they might have a similar client to you, or they may come across people. Like, for one person, works with allied health professionals to help them grow a healthy practice. Now, maybe tech is not her highest ability. Maybe for her it's about systems and staffing, and so there could be an opportunity for collaboration. We have another member who's in the medico-legal area, and she works at a very high level representing clients who've been in like disastrous situations. But again, her network of people may be people that might be your ideal client. And so when we can present ourselves and our business like Alex has done, and it becomes very clear who your ideal client is, making connections, networking moves away from being like I really should network, to, oh, okay, I get what you do. I know someone just like you. I remember being at a conference in the US, and it was over lunch, and I was introducing myself to a gentleman who was next to me. And I said to him, oh, what do you do? And he said, I create websites for doctors. So simple, just a few words. But at that point I went, my doctor's got a shocking website. And I gave him an introduction. And so if he just said, look, I do website, I would have thought, oh, well, that's interesting. Just like if you'd said, I offer technical support, well, that's interesting. But when we can really hone it in, that's how you go from 0 to over 6 figures. You know who your ideal client is, and you know where you're going. My final question, because I want to support you here, is this course. Tell me, what do you feel are your next steps towards moving from one-to-one to one-to-many?
I think that for me, it'll be about managing my time. So I do block out time in my diary to work on the business. I think when we started and when I joined the network, the timing was really good because you were doing a course in November of last year where you went across a whole bunch of things like that. You did the marketing on the back of napkin and a variety of conversations around pricing and around product development over the course of a week. So it was the timing of that was fantastic because it kind of got me going with my thinking around how I was going to craft all of this. And so I understood very early on that I was likely to have clients who would come to us and need some help but we're never going to completely transform their business because their business wasn't ready for that. They mentally weren't in the space where they wanted to take it on. But I wanted to have an offering for them that would allow them to kind of DIY their own technology. So the Technology Fundamentals online course offering is intended to be that place where if you're not really ready to do a full digital transformation of your business, that will give you a whole lot of knowledge to figure some stuff out by yourself, to kind of do a couple of little projects to keep you ticking over. And then there are some other offerings after that if you feel you're ready to take another step and you want to start putting together a bit of a roadmap and a plan for your technology, there's an offering for that. And if you feel like you're really ready to kind of pull it all together and go completely digital, we bump you into what we call our transform space. So depending on where you are in your business, we try to meet all of our clients where they're at. And that online course was intended to be one of the offerings for folk who are kind of dipping their toe in the water of technology and just wanting to get a bit more confident about kind of pulling all those pieces together.
Great. So there's some core components. There's you kind of know what the offering is. Then there's the creating the actual course. Then there's the marketing of the course. And a little tip that we give women inside of our Marketing Success Mastermind is that sometimes we can spend so much time creating the thing that we want to sell, and then we put it out to market. And how we like to think about it, and my partner in the program, Michelle, and I like to think about the thing that we're selling is 20% of the whole deal. 80% needs to be the marketing. And so making sure you've got enough of your ideal clients, building momentum, building intrigue for what it is you're creating, and creating this thing once, but marketing it again and again. And so really thinking about what are the low-hanging fruit. And by that, I mean, who do I already know that I can make this offer to? Great. That might get you your first bunch of sales. But then what is the system by which people are going to even become to know about this? And then buy it. And so just putting in place a timeline, as you know, we recommend strategic marketing thinking, mapping it out, finding those time spots for you to create, but also thinking about, well, am I going to have an email sequence? Am I going to run some sort of lead magnet? Am I going to run a webinar? Am I going to do a roundtable breakfast meeting with a bunch of people from health to tell them about the course? Thinking about what those marketing activities are. And of course, you can post this inside of our private members group at any time and get, feedback and support on that. But really giving yourself the time, because right now time is an issue. And so you want to make sure that you give yourself, firstly, you prioritize it because it's important enough. And let me give you an example. Tasha Jennings, who's one of our members, who's a naturopath. She specializes in fertility and helping women optimize their bodies naturally to conceive babies. And she was doing one-on-one consultations and her diary was full, months and months and months. So our first encouragement was for her to raise her prices, and she did, and nothing changed, right? So she was obviously undercharging. And likely with you as well, you might just want to think about, if you want to create more space, increase the price. But nonetheless, she was still locked in until she finally drew the line and said, I'm just going to block out this time to create my course. She already had some good following on social media. She was building an email list. She had a lead magnet. So then when she took her online course to market, people were ready for it. They were expecting it, and she sold out immediately. And so now what she does is she offers the one-on-one on the back of the online course. So she can cherry pick. Like, she can pick the cream of the crop to work with, knowing that those people know, like, and trust her, and they will pay the money that she's worth. And so I encourage you, I will be sure to check back in with you, but I encourage you to use the group. Yeah, right. So it's just about putting things in the right order. And so you might have an entry level thing, you have the online, etc. But all of those things take energy and time, and all of them take an audience. So you just want to put things in their right place. Thank you so much for joining me. In a few weeks, Alex, we're going to be opening the doors for women to join the membership. If anybody here is watching, they're not yet a member of the Her Business Network, you've said some beautiful things already, but is there anything that you'd say would be the main benefit that your business has had of being part of this network?
Look, I think that there are so many things. There's so many that I've got, putting me on the spot for one. Even things like this. Look, I've had that on the top. Where's it? I've had that on the top of my
less obsessed. Yeah. That's all about
since you first said that back in November. That's been at the top of my computer to remind me. So the focus, the accountability piece from the goal, my golden goalies. I also like the way that you go through a different topic every month, and you keep going with it. So that pace has also been really helpful for me, because part of what it is doing, it's kind of just given me a little push. It's just like, no, come on, get on with it. We now need to think about it. Sometimes I feel like I'm racing behind, trying to catch up with some of this. But actually that has just been really helpful to get me to think about things probably way ahead of where I would have naturally done it because of that time pressure. So, I'm loving all of that. I'm loving being able to normalize my new learning experience, having left corporate life and all those resources behind, being able to reach out to the women in this network and have a conversation and learn from them as well is just such magic for me. So it's really, really worthwhile.
I appreciate your contribution. Thank you. I appreciate the contribution you're making. I want to congratulate you again on your 6-figure year in your very first year. And I cannot wait to see what you get up to in the next little while, and the announcement of that course whenever it's ready. And we're here to support you all along the way.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That is Alex Hanlon from engine2.com. You can learn all about her services there. And if you're in the health industry and you are looking to tame your technology, then you really want to check out what she has on offer. And as I mentioned, we are opening the doors to the Her Business Network up in just a couple of weeks. We only ever do this once or twice a year. And so if you're looking for growth, if you're looking to hit 6 or 7 figures, if you're looking to streamline your business without the overwhelm, without burning out, then here's what I recommend you do. You want to go ahead and join the wait list. When you are on the wait list, it means that you're the first to be invited when we do open up applications to be part of our network. And it's less than $20 a week to have a systemized, supportive, accountable way to keep making progress in your business, whether you want to reach more people, whether you want to get new clients, whether you just want to stop feeling like you're doing everything on your own. Go ahead and head on over to herbusinessnetwork.com to get the details. And thank you so much. Yes, and I can see lovely messages here. Thank you so much for watching today. Thanks again to Alex. We'll see you back real soon. Have a great week.